Action 10's Andy Liscano broke the story. He continues his long investigation tonight. Andy?
Well, Martin Lauren, the school board meeting begins at 6:30. The district superintendent, Elizabeth Sines, tells us the board won't actually start discussing Chris Williams till about 8 o'clock, and they'll do it in closed session. You know, we first started investigating this story about 3 weeks ago, acting on a viewer tip. And as we continued to dig, we found more documents and records about Chris Williams going all the way back to 2005. This is 29-year-old Christopher Quinn Williams. Been a teacher at West Oso High School since 2010. Graduated from the University of Texas in Austin in 2005. Acting on a tip, Action 10 went to Austin, to the Travis County Courthouse, where we found this affidavit from a 2005 case involving Williams. A former female classmate had charged him with harassment, telling Austin police she'd received several phone calls, eventually traced to Williams, that were sexual in nature. In fact, according to the affidavit, Williams admitted to her on tape that he did it. Williams pled to a lesser charge and agreed to 2 years deferred prosecution. CCISD records show that he was a teacher at King High School from 2006 through 7, but then resigned for unspecified reasons in January 2008. This December 11, 2008 email from Corpus Christi police says Williams had been arrested in November for stalking a woman, and that police had also linked him to 3 separate cases of indecent exposure. We did not find any record of Williams being convicted in Nueces County on this charge. The very next day, CCISD sent Williams this letter that mentions his arrest. It reads in part, quote, "For that reason, you are hereby served with official notice that you are prohibited from coming on to any property owned by CCISD. Action 10 also learned that in 2010, a family hired private investigators to check Williams out. As part of their investigation, they found the legal process had begun to get Williams' record expunged. When we began reporting this story, we asked West Oso ISD Superintendent Elizabeth Sines if they had any idea of Williams' past when they had hired him.
At this point, it's not really clear what was known at the point of hire. You know, if there was nothing in his past, you know, I think that's the reason why they hired him.
No. Now, Superintendent Sines tells us that Mr. Williams was already employed by the district before she even came on board. We should tell you that as part of our investigation, we made several attempts to contact Mr. Williams. We were unsuccessful. The Superintendent Sines tells us that as part of the district's investigation, they turned all of that over to CCPD. That happened a couple of weeks ago. And tonight, should the board recommend that Mr. Williams be fired, Williams would still have 14 days to appeal that decision to the board. We're back here at 6 and 10 o'clock tonight. We're live. Back to you, Martin Lauren.
Well, good evening. Former employees of a Dollar General store in Beeville may have had their identities compromised.
It happened about a week ago when the store threw out paperwork containing their social security numbers and other important information. But none of them knew anything about it until Action 10's Andy Liscano showed it to them today. Andy?
Well, Martin Lauren, here's a box full of just some of the information that was found in the 10 boxes found behind the Dollar General in Beeville. This is information that can be damaging not only to the former employees, but to the store as well. Look what I found. Dollar General.
3300, yeah.
Whose name is that?
Yeah, you got look, all the old people that I know, that's mine.
What is that?
My social security.
Emilio Gonzalez is one of the former employees whose information was found in this box behind the Dollar General on Huntington Street in Beeville. And he believes it may have already fallen into the wrong hands because he says he's getting mail from sources he knows nothing about. Rosemary Benda, who works nearby, found the information about a week ago and called our TroubleShooters line to tell us about it. She also called police. She asked that her face not be shown for this interview.
And he said, that's against the law, really. He goes, because it's private information, and once it gets into the trash, he goes, do you know where it goes? He goes, where anybody can get to it.
Ms. Banda said somebody came into her business and told her there were about 10 boxes of this information in a dumpster behind the Dollar General. The paperwork goes back at least 10 years and contains work schedules, detailed payroll information, and store sales receipts. All of it potentially harmful and dangerous to not only the former employees, but the store as well. We spoke with a woman named Alexandra at the store. Corporate just told you all, yeah, just throw it in the dumpster?
We didn't know that those were in there. We threw away other papers, but they didn't have any.
Apparently these were sticking out in the box. I mean, there were like several boxes of them.
I'm not sure.
The paperwork led us to another former employee, Lupe Valdez, who worked for the city of Beeville now. He had no idea this had happened until we showed him his information around noon today. I found 10 boxes of this stuff in the dumpster behind Dollar General about a week ago.
It's not good.
Well, Valdez tells us he's going to contact his attorney and some of the other people that he used to work with that he still keeps in contact with. We are going to turn this stuff over to law enforcement and let them decide what best to do with this. We'll let you know what happens.
Well, now today we caught up with the judge as he was leaving his Rockport home.
He told our Andy Liscano that the incident wasn't as bad as it appears. Andy's here now with more on that conversation. Andy?
Well, guys, caught up with the judge this morning outside his home in Rockport. He told me he doesn't believe he did anything wrong other than discipline his daughter for what he said was stealing. He also said the rest of this story will come out later. Have you contacted her about this video?
Yeah.
You acknowledge that that's you in the video?
I don't want to talk right now, sir.
Okay. Have you,
I've
but
got
you
a
had
lawyer.
Conversation with your daughter?
Sure.
And what
Yeah.
was
She's
it?
mad because I've ordered her to bring the car back, in a nutshell. But yeah, that's me. Lost my temper. I spanked her. Mother was there. She wasn't hurt. It was a long time ago.
How long ago was it?
About 6 years.
Okay. Well,
I've apologized to her. I really don't want to get into this right now because, as you can see, my life's been made very difficult over this child.
Have you been contacted by Judicial Review, any of those committees out of Austin, since this video apparently has gone viral?
I've contacted them to let them know.
And what was their response? Do you think you're going to face any kind of suspension or discipline?
Don't know. In my mind, I haven't done anything wrong other than discipline my child after she was caught stealing, and I did lose my temper, but I've since apologized. It looks worse than it is. There is a story. It'll come out in due time, okay?
So you do acknowledge, though, that that's you in the video?
Yeah, absolutely. It's me.
And it's because she downloaded a game onto your computer?
No, she was stealing. I don't want to get into it, okay?
Okay.
But there was a reason she was being disciplined.
Do you acknowledge that the beating was excessive, the spanking, the discipline?
No, I'm not going to get into any of that, okay?
Now, right after our interview, Adams took off, reportedly to San Antonio. We're also told he's not hearing any more cases for now. One thing to note, during the confrontations, Judge Adams said he's apologized to his daughter Hillary for what happened. She told us he has not apologized.
Developing story out of Kingsville, where the school board is holding a special meeting today on the future of Kingsville school board member Rudy Macareno. Andy Liscano is live in Kingsville with the latest. Andy, what can you tell us?
Well, Dave, Rudy Macareno is here, and along with the rest of the school board members, they went into closed session 2 minutes after this meeting began. And the meeting has been called, the special meeting, because of Rudy Macareno and to discuss his status with the board. You'll recall that on Friday, he was indicted on 1 count of indecency with a child, 1 count of aggravated sexual assault of a child. If found guilty, he could face life in prison. He turned himself into Kingsville PD Monday afternoon. He bonded out of the Clayburgh County Jail Tuesday afternoon. We knocked on his door to his home and a couple of the businesses that he owns here in town, but we could not find him. He has been a board member here since May of last year. All board members serve for a 4-year term. Now, just a minute ago, we spoke with Macareno's attorney, Keith Gould, asking him for a comment. He said because of the gag order that has been placed on this case by Judge Angelica Hernandez, he wouldn't be able to tell us much, but we will let you know as much as we can tell you coming up at 5 and 6. We're live in Kingsville. Andy Liscano, KRS 6 News. Back to you, Dave. When Huey helicopters came back from Vietnam, many came to Corpus Christi and Seacamp to be worked on by men like William Maher, who is now dying of cancer, and Rodney Miller, who's also dying of cancer. And both men have stories of others who are already dead. But the federal government has denied any responsibility, and they use documents from the late 80s and early 90s which quote a SeaCat supervisor who says the helicopters were decontaminated and washed before being worked on. But now a former Marine who also worked at the base says the government is wrong. The men are right. The choppers were filthy.
There was no pre-cleaning of any of the aircraft when they came back. So we were crawling all over them, oily, fuel all over them, hydraulic fluid. You could see where they were not body parts, but like pieces of hair and some kind of matter that looked like it might have been skin or something from, and you could see blood inside of them.
Bill Martin's a former United States Marine Corps corporal and now a member of the Del Mar College Board of Regents. He thinks his own health problems are connected to his years at CCAD.
I knew that when I would get in what we called the hellhole in the middle of the Huey and worked in there with some of those different cleaning agents that we used, that you'd get out of there high.
Maher believes his problems are connected to the chemical Agent Orange, and he's angry, especially at that supervisor who said the choppers were clean.
And he sent it to the cleaning shop, this Agent Orange, yet he didn't warn anybody in the cleaning shop that he was sending Agent Orange to the cleaning shop. And who gave Mr. Alan Martinez the authority to do that?
I know they do. I know they do. Especially one fellow, Mr. Martinez, out there, and he's lying all the way through it that he knew it was, all those things were clean and ready to work on.
And what of William Tilley, Jose Saldivar, Homer Ramirez, Doak Russell, Randy Havel, Gene Conklin, Donnie Williams, Rudy Gonzalez, and many others who worked up there, who we are told have died or are dying, many of them of cancer.
It's strange that there would be that many that would have passed on from cancer, and the connecting link, I guess, is the fact that all of us were around the cleaning shop or in the disassembly area or in the abduction side of the aircraft.
Andy Liscano, Action 10 News.